Should I start? Okay. So, hi guys. Happy Environment Day. Yeah. I would like to. So this is the first time I'm here, and I know you've been watching the streaming since morning. If you have, and I would like to introduce you to one of my closest friends, who is going to be talking about his job, which is involving architecture, but in a very sustainable way. And I see that as a beautiful way of how we can help our environment. And I must say, he has been an inspiration to me ever since I've met him. And his name is Areen Atari, and he has studied in Rizvi, and he's an architect, and he also is a co-founder of Put Your Hands Together Bioarchitects, which is a firm that designs within the ecosystem, engages with the community, and builds with local and natural materials. And just a little bit about him is he has always been, when there were devastations, when there was a flood and there was an earthquake, he was the first person I knew would be on the field helping out the communities over there. So he's done a lot of good work, and I'm going to pass this on to him. And please enjoy this, because he's a fun guy. So ask whatever questions you want, and he will find a very interactive way and exciting way of answering your questions. So, Areen, please.
Thank you very much. How's it going, guys and girls? Hope everyone's fantastic in these crazy times and doing really safe and really well. So, thanks a lot, Meher, for having me here. It's, you know, it's really a pleasure to be presenting today on World Environment Day. And basically, I'm going to share a few images and a slideshow about the work that I do and that we do and why we do it, and essentially the process behind it. All right, so I'm going to quickly move into the share screen. And just a second. Okay, can you see this? Is my is my presentation clear? Cool, awesome. So this is our company name. It's called Put Your Hands Together. We call ourselves bioarchitects, and the idea is that we this is Shavir and me. We are the co-founders of Put Your Hands Together. We are
Areen,
bio.
we can't, there's nothing that's on screen right
Oh,
now.
nothing's on screen. Okay, wait.
No.
I think there was a mistake in the share screen. I'm just gonna. Cool. Can you see this? Awesome. So yeah, that's Shavir and me. We are co-founders of Put Your Hands Together Bioarchitects. We're a bioarchitecture firm that designs within the ecosystem, engages with community, and builds with local and natural materials. All right, so I'm going to explain our process through one project in particular, and then I'm going to run you through a few of our other projects. And I'm going to make it quick, so I'd rather we spend more time in discussion and question answer session. We designed this home place in Manali, homestay in Manali. It's called Someplace, and basically what we do, our process is something that we approach the site. And so this is the first time I was approaching the site, and 3 feet of snow, first time ever in snowfall, super cold. And then we reached the site, and this is the site again. And these are apple trees. It's an apple orchard. It looks really beautiful right now because it's covered in snow, but also in summer and monsoon, this looks fantastic. It changes completely. Okay, the transformation of this space is like phenomenal, and it's fully green. And the first things that we think of when we go to a place is intuition, instinct, and reason, right? The idea is to create sort of architecture that is rooted with the environment, that is really one with nature, that sort of understands that specific nature. Now the thing is that with modern industry and with the sort of industrial revolution, we got really accessible to really quick, cheap, and fast materials like concrete, steel, and tin sheets. And so the examples you see in this photograph at the back over here of these buildings are where people have built really fast, really quick, really cheap, in and not so great ways, right? So our aim is to sort of understand the vernacular architecture, because in vernacular architecture, people through trial and error of centuries, they sort of understood, how to build in that particular region. So if you see Manali is an earthquake zone where they have a lot of proximity, or they're prone to earthquakes. At the same time, you see Kutch, which is in Gujarat. It's also a really, really high earthquake zone. And both these places, they sort of understood how to build with their materials and make it earthquake resistant, right? So Manali has a system called Katkuni, where they use timber and they use stone and they just lay it on top of each other. And so if an earthquake comes, it sort of shakes and it resists the earthquake. And in Kutch, they made these round houses, all right? And so when an earthquake comes, they have no corners that could break. So the round houses survive. And to go one level further, they even understood like climate and weather. So for example, if everyone does like and okay, open your mouth and then blow it in your hand, and then close your mouth and blow it in your hand, and you notice a temperature difference. So what happens is when you do like when the air gets compressed and comes out cooler. Okay, so in Kutch, when it's really hot outside, they understood this and they made like small openings near the ground so the cool air can come in and then the hot air can rise up. In Manali, it's the opposite. They want the heat to get trapped, so they designed everything on top of the cattle. So the cattle would generate a lot of heat, and then it would get trapped in the house and get stuck in there. So really, really fascinating insights that we have lost today, because now people are building crazy things. So this is an example of Katkuni, which is in Manali, a traditional house. You can see the mud plaster. This wood is really old but really strong still. They use slate tiles on top. Almost everything is within a few kilometers of that particular site. So that's the ideal way to build, right? If you imagine, India is so fantastic. Every 200 kilometers, you find people change, the language changes, the food changes, the geography, the climate, the context, everything changes, and the architecture also changes, or rather, I would say changed. And now what has happened is almost become standardized. They are seeing what we are doing in the cities. What we are doing in the cities is basically copying what's happening in the West, and so on and so forth. So there really needs to be some sort of intervention to break the system and to break the cycle and to give dignity to materials that are traditional and vernacular, because the biggest thing is that mud and bamboo and things like this are seen as poor man's and poor woman's material, and that needs to change. So this is the site. When we came there, we found these huge boulders on the site, all right? And I'm talking about huge boulders the size of a typical minimum, like 2 rooms in Bombay. That's one boulder. Okay. And then we got these traditional stone breakers to come in. They would so we identified certain stones that we were going to retain, and then we took certain stones that we were going to transform into our building material. So what we did is we actually transformed these stones into something like this. You'll see these chunks, and then they become a little smaller over here, and finally they become into building blocks. So we were taking material on the site itself, from the site itself, using whatever we found on that region in that place and building with that, right? So we're trying to create a sort of genuine, authentic, and honest architecture that's for that region and from that region. So these are the kind of discussions we have on site. That's the clients, that's the landowner, and that's me. A lot of times we do a lot of planning, as you can see here, but then we go back and then we realize, okay, this is not working on site, and we have to change a few things, or we have to adjust. So the site sometimes talks to us, like the site communicates with us sometimes. Okay, this is not where I want this, or this is where I want that. So you have to listen and you have to be tuned in to these things. This is a sort of layout of the space. There's 2 rooms here, another 4 rooms here, and you can see this is one big boulder. Where my mouse is right now, it's one big boulder. So we actually wrapped this structure around this boulder. So instead of walls on this side, we actually have the boulder itself. Okay, and there's a dining hall and a kitchen area here, and the owner's home is out here. So I'm just going to show you a little bit more about how we wrapped around this boulder. So this is one of the boulders that we did not break down, because the whole idea is to not just like go and smash the site completely into pieces, but to do it with responsibility and do it with a little bit of like um, authenticity. So we retained this huge boulder, and then we tried to keep all the trees as far as possible. Even the smaller ones, they were only, I think 2 of them had to be transplanted because there was really no place to build in, and I think one of them survived and even bore fruit. So you can see we've gone quite close to this tree, but we took care of the roots, sort of wrapped around this boulder, and now you can see the walls coming up. They're really thick 18-inch stone walls. Okay, so when I say 18 inches, like 1.5 foot of wall that acts as thermal insulation, and so it keeps the cold out and doesn't let the cold come inside. And so what this also did is this particular boulder, it's sort of the ground floor was here, and the walls you see of the ground floor are part of this. And then when it came up to the first floor, the top of this boulder acted as the entrance to the first floor. Okay, so we got like a double use from this boulder, and it was the height. So now this is the same structure. So this is like a before and then and after when the walls have come up. And we try and align, like we try and make most of the climatic conditions. So you see most of these big openings that you see are facing the south. The sun goes from in the northern hemisphere, the sun goes from east to west via the south, especially in winters. It moves slightly towards the north, as we come towards the summer, but in the winters towards the south is quite inclined. So we try and trap in that heat as far as possible. Yeah, then this is a little further the same sort of structure, and now this is it from the other side. Okay, this is the same structure from the other side. This is the entrance, and this is the boulder. So the land is so contoured that we've sort of hidden these spaces in there. So you don't realize when you're walking towards this, you don't realize actually that it's ground floor also. It almost feels like, oh, that's a basement now. So we try to play along with the existing land, so you don't have to do any cutting and filling of the land. You try and maintain the way it is, try and retain the way it is. This is another structure. There are two rooms here, the ground and first. And then we try to create these fun things over here. So this, if you can see, this is a small, where my mouse is, this is a small little balcony actually. And the one beside it is also a balcony. It's actually not connected to each other. So this is a balcony for just one person maybe to come and stand, but the access from this balcony is from the bed. Okay, so there's a bed and then there's a window, and then you have to climb from the bed into the window, and you can sit on the window and just put your legs out, or you can jump out, and the view is fantastic. All right, the view is of Rohtang. If you've been to Manali, if you're familiar, it's the northern the mountains over there. It's beautiful. And then the one on the right, the balcony from there, that's actually there's a door, but that's from the shower. So if you feel like it and if you have some guts, then you open that door while you're having a shower and just enjoy the view. So we try to create these fun things as well. Yeah, these are just two balconies you can see again from here. That's the one with the windows, and that's the one with the door from the shower. And then this is the dining area. You can see some more boulders that we have retained. So all these building materials, all right. So you have like primary building materials and secondary materials and then tertiary materials. So the primary building material in our case is the stone, and all that stone is from the site itself. It's a huge achievement because there are very few instances in life where you're able to create the building material from your site itself. All right. And then our secondary material is cement. We try and avoid the use of cement because it's a highly industrialized inert material. If we would try and prefer to use something like lime, which is the basis of cement. Like cement is made from lime, but lime is breathable. Lime is lime is actually the best construction material because it absorbs carbon dioxide for like 50 years and keeps on absorbing it and becomes stronger and stronger. But it's really expensive to use because it's not industrialized and it's not easy to find because the cement, say, industry, they take up all the time. So we try to create these retain these boulders, and actually what we did is, if you see, this entrance to the reception and dining area is at the level of these boulders. So what we were intending to do is you walk into the structure, which is the main entrance, on top of these boulders. Okay, so like the boulders create the entrance, so there's supposed to be a bridge from this boulder to this boulder, which is not yet made, and then this to this, and then eventually into this. So the idea is to create this experience and take you through this different interesting parts of the site, and where the boulders are really an important part of it. So these are the three structures. You see them from the owner's house, and it's beautiful landscape of Manali. It's so stunning, these dynamic rocks and then snow and then these pine trees. And you should actually, I mean, I really want to go every season to document it because it's so beautiful in all the seasons, and then you understand how does your architecture respond to all these different seasons. It's really important to know that. So this is from the inside. Okay. What we really wanted to do is, create these beds. So these beds are fixed beds. All right. And we wanted to create these beds. So when I went there the first time, I showed you the photo where it was like 3 feet of snow, and it was so cold. I'm from Bombay and I'm not used to that kind of cold instantly. So I landed in Delhi, and then kept getting colder and colder, colder and colder while I kept going up. And then the first thing that I could think of, and literally the only thing I wanted to do, was get into a room and jump into the bed and hide under the blanket. And that was one of the major like decisions for us, to create these beds that feel like they're part of the structure, and it makes you want to run and jump onto it and make you feel a little cozy. So we're trying to create that coziness, that warmth through these spaces. So this is another example of the bed, and we've used mud plaster in the inside, where we create these sitting spaces. um, yeah, this is an example of the boulder. You can see the boulder on the right hand side. So the boulder is now part of the structure. There's no wall there. It's just the boulder, and this is the bed beside it. We even hand carved the basins. The basins are of stone, and we actually carved them out on site itself. So we try to, avoid buying any standard basin. So this is the basin that you see here. Um, we do workshops. So what we try and always do is try and involve the young people who want to learn how to build with their hands. I feel there's a lot of people now who really, really are tired of the way things are. They want to learn how to build themselves. They at least want to get their hands dirty. So we try and plug in workshops with our existing sites. And so this was a workshop we did. We did mud plaster. So you can see um, our participants doing mud plaster. And then if the workshop is successful, then we leave it as part of the site, and most of it is successful. And then we made a pizza oven again with mud. It's a technique called cob. So you can see people mixing it and turning the mud, and then you sort of stomp it for a while, and then you make balls like atta, and then you make these balls, and then you stack it on top of each other with a hollow part in the center, and then you have amazing handmade pizza. Yeah, we must go to Manali. Okay, so I'm gonna now quickly show you a bit of our other projects. We started trying to document all our projects and the sort of impact we were trying to create, and so we made this map, and actually this is a little older map now. We need to update it, and um, so these are the things. This is in Bihar. Actually, I learned some of my work over there, my internship. So as Meher said earlier, there was a flood rehabilitation project, and I was part of a larger team that were working on creating bamboo and brick homes as an alternate, and a new kind of bamboo home, which was multi-hazard resistant, because they see high cyclones, they see high earthquakes, and they see high floods. This region is quite crazy. And so something, a bamboo actually, if you design it well, it can cater to all these needs. And so I learned a lot of my bamboo and natural materials work over here. We also did some work in Nepal post the earthquake with some other organizations in collaboration, and a lot of work in and around Mumbai and Maharashtra, and some rural housing projects in Gujarat. Okay, so this is is something called the Nirvana farmhouse. It's in Khadavli. It's just outside Mumbai, maybe around 100 kilometers from here. So this technology is called compressed stabilized earth blocks. So the bricks you're seeing here, they're actually earth. They put into a small hand press. They're compressed really, really tightly together, and then they're left to dry. Okay. You can choose to use around 5% of cement or 10% of cement to stabilize this. So this is cement stabilized earth blocks. Okay, compressed stabilized earth blocks. I beg your pardon. So it's a compressed stabilized earth block, and we use mud mortar with it. Now, a lot of people, when they ask us that you build with mud, they're really worried about flooding, and they say, what about the water? Does it survive? Does it have long durability? I tell them two things. I tell them that one thing I tell them is that the Great Wall of China, part of it is built in earth. Okay, and it's survived a long time, and you can see it from the moon. So it's a good testament to building with earth. And the second thing is that this project actually, the last monsoon. So it's the property is like very close to the river Bhadra, and last monsoon it rained so much that they had to open some dam, and then overnight this whole place flooded. All right, there were around 6 feet of water, and it stayed for around I think 8 to 12 hours. All right, and we were really scared, right? Because you don't want any floods to happen in any structure, let alone an earth structure. But we were a little worried. But we had also done something called a strength test, a wet strength test. We had tested, and we knew that these blocks would last for 2 days without any problem, completely immersed in water. So this structure actually proved that, and there was minimal damage to the walls. In fact, no damage to the walls. There was some electric problems. There was some furniture, the loose furniture that was all over the place. A lot of uh, trees, and crop died, but as part of an earth building, it sort of survived, and it survived really, really well. So it sort of breaks the myth that earth buildings are not strong and they cannot last. The temperature difference in these earth buildings is also phenomenal. So mud, in general, as a material, it has a high absorption rate of humidity and a high desorption rate of humidity. So it can absorb fast and also let go fast. All right. And this helps a lot in temperature control. So it could be really, really hot outside, and these nice thick walls, they they provide a fantastic climate difference. Okay. We measured once and it was, I think, 7 degrees, and we need to measure it a longer distance. I'm sure we'll find a higher temperature differential. And 7 degrees, like without any air condition, there's no air condition, there's just a fan, but even the fan was not on when we measured. This is one of the projects that we did in Nepal. We did it with two other organizations called Thumb Impressions Collaborative in Ahmedabad and Surat, and Alea and Associates were the chief architects, and there's architect Sharan Lal. So they were a group of trekkers. They would go, with guides from this village, and then they decided that they need to do something for them. So we did a training program over there. We taught them how to build with bamboo, and at the same time, then we built a prototype out there. So I spent around 2 months in this village. Fantastic, beautiful people. I was living in a nice village house, eating local food every day, and also the local alcohol is really nice, which they brew themselves. And so the bottom half of this building, if you see in this photo over here, is actually the same technique that they use, which is stone and mud mortar. And then we added a few things. So we added these bamboo columns, and then everything above on the first floor is made out of bamboo. Now, bamboo, if you use the correct species, the correct treatment methods, then bamboo can also last for around 30, 40, 50 years easily with minimum maintenance. So the whole idea for the first floor being bamboo is that it's super lightweight. Even if the bamboo falls, there won't be any fatalities. So it's really, really nice structure. It's also a little flexible, so it helps a lot to like resist these movements in an earthquake and sort of stay back in its place. And we got the whole community there to work on this project. Everyone you see here working, they're women, they're men, they're from the community. We trained some unskilled labor and then trained them on how to work with bamboo, so they became skilled labor. So you build capacity in that way. So now they can go to places as bamboo craftspersons. Okay, one of our first projects is in a place called Neral. It's in a place called Sagunabag. It's an agro-tourism center. We built this mud house that they call it there. We call it the adobe house because that's the technique. So adobe is basically sun-dried bricks and not compressed. It's loosely packed bricks that you see that they burn generally to give you the burned brick, but it's not burnt. All right, and we don't use the topsoil. We use subsoil, so it actually doesn't do too much damage to the environment. And then we build it with this raw brick, and again, nice thick walls, excellent thermal comfort. This particular house is meant to be like a comfortable rural house to get people from the cities to understand what it's like to live in a rural area. So that was, and it's overlooking a lovely pond that they've made over there. You can visit it hopefully post Corona times. It's a really nice place actually. You learn a lot about just how agriculture is done. And I think a lot of times we have no idea. We eat all this food, especially people in the city. And then so it was really nice to do something then. And we try to like, sorry, I'm just going back. All the terracotta tiles on top, mangrove tiles, they're all recycled. So we've put a stone wall in the part where we felt we're going to get most amount of rainfall from the southwest. It's also our toilet and bathroom blocks. So wherever there's water, we put a stone wall. All the wood that you're seeing here, this wood is from their farm itself that they have grown specifically so that they can use it as timber in construction. The window that you see over here, it's again an old recycled one that was in their warehouse that we you know um, sort of redid. So all the flooring over here is terracotta tiles, so we're trying to use all our materials really, really sensitively. This is a more recent project we did in Alibag. It's These are just before the instruction got done, and we were about to finish, and then the lockdown hit. This is the Good Karma farmhouse, and it's an organic farm that's it's very close to Mandwa Jetty. So they needed a farm, literally a farmhouse, right? So there are two structures that you can see here. There's a longer one at the back and a shorter one, smaller one here. So the small one that you see even beside here, we place them between two trees to get some more shade. We have these large overhangs. The height over here is quite, it's only like 2.5 feet to prevent the horizontal rain from coming in. And this is made almost completely out of bamboo. A primary material is bamboo here. And a lot of it was prefabricated. Actually, we built a lot of it off site and took it on the site and we sort of assembled it. And we have this system here is called wattle and daub. It's split bamboo that's weaved, and then you take mud and then you apply it like a plaster on top of that. Even this gives fantastic thermal comfort. It's super thin in this case. And the cyclone just hit this and we were a little concerned, about what would happen. And we anticipated a few tiles coming off because the bamboo, as I explained before, even in an earthquake zone, it can vibrate a lot and resist a lot of these movements, and it'll come back to place. But that vibration may cause a few of the tiles to displace. So we got a photo from our collaborators on site, and it showed that some of these tiles had been lifted off, but that's minimal damage actually. So really, actually it's a really good thing. This is how it is from inside. All the wood you see here, all right, on the windows and on the floor, they're all recycled from ships. So there's one place in Bombay actually that's called Daru Khana, where they used to break down ships. There's only one, I think, shop and one go down, and that still exists, that still has a lot of these old ship stuff. And so we recycle all of that and use all of that. So I don't really know how old these pieces of wood are. They've traveled all over the world, and now they're part of our structure. So we try and really, really source environmentally friendly materials all around. And something, if you can't source it naturally, then we try and use upcycled and recycled stuff. This is a second house in a place called Titwala, very close to Khadavli, again Bombay, near Bombay. This is a system called rammed earth. So we make these shutters, and then we put in earth. We put in again maybe 5% of cement, and then we compact it with a rammer, really, really compacted, to make these thick walls, 16-inch thick walls, and they look really beautiful. They look like cake. I promise you, if you see it when it's fresh, you'll want to like slice it and eat into it. It's so yummy. But don't, because I don't know what will happen. So some interior projects that we've also worked on quickly. These shelves that you see here, they are actually paper tubes. All right, the where you wrap cloth around, or you wrap those large printers, they have papers wrapped around this. So we took these and made shelving, and we made even the furniture over here. You can see them stacked here, and the rollers for the drawers over here. With this, all the furniture has been like upcycled in this case. We use rammed earth in Crawford Market. I think we can proudly say it's the first rammed earth intervention in one of Asia's busiest markets, I guess. And so it was a really great achievement for us and this store. And even the shelves at the back is all natural stone called kadapa. And I think I'm gonna finish with this. This is a project just outside of Nasik. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. This is a process called cob. So these are earth walls that you're seeing, which are mud plastered, and you can give them a lot of beautiful shapes. And so these earth walls are made with the technical cob. Again, you stomp the earth, you make them balls of atta, you stack them on top of each other, then you plaster them. And there's a bamboo green roof on top. You can see it more clearly in the photo on the side. This green roof on top of, there are three homestays. which are 5 rooms actually, and then one on top of each other. They sort of get, they're hidden into the contour into the slope, so it doesn't hurt your eyes when you see it. It's very well integrated. The stone, all the earth that you're seeing was found on the site itself. So again, fantastic achievement. All the doors and windows are from old houses that we bought from a warehouse. All the all the stone that you're seeing is either from within 200 meters there was a local quarry, or there's an old house in Devalali that was broken down, which is very close by. You can see them here. They're all these different colors. They're the cornerstones. So we just bought them and brought them here. So we tried to, and you can see the green roofs over here. I recently went on Google Earth and I really couldn't find this structure beside this tree because it was camouflaged with the greenery. So I was super happy with that. And yeah, that's about it from me in terms of what work we do and why we do. And now I'm happy to, you know, uh, have my hair talk, and maybe if you'll have a few questions, answer them.
Okay. So there are some questions. Then I
Awesome.
also have a few questions.
Awesome.
Okay. So someone is asking, this is why was the when you were talking about the balcony outside the kitchen, outside the bathroom.
Yeah.
So someone was a little inquisitive to say, why would the balcony be with the window outside the shower?
So we
So
actually had balcony on both sides. There's a balcony on the south side where you can sit and have your breakfast and enjoy, and that's your primary balcony. But we thought it would be
hmm,
really fun to enjoy because the view on the north is really something else. The south, you see the valley, you see Manali, and you see Vashisht, and you see the distance. But in the north, you just see mountains and nothing else. And so we thought that it's something that maybe you don't have to open it while you're having a shower, but maybe if you're brushing your teeth, you want to step out and enjoy nature. You don't get this opportunity, and we thought of just creating something fun and interesting there.
okay. And then there's a really interesting question. Say, do the compressed mud block regain their original strength on its own even after being exposed to excessive water, like in the flood?
Yeah, they don't lose any strength. I mean, the moment the water dries up, they go back to their original strength. Maybe just a small percentage of loss would be there, but nothing major. So we do something called a wet strand test before we build. We actually take these blocks, we immerse it in water for 2 days, and then we put a compressive strength test on top of it, and we check where it fails. So where it actually cracks. The moment it cracks, then we know that okay, it's failed at this point, but we know it's already past the parameters that we need to build with it. And all of these are load bearing. So the load of the roof is actually on this, So we're in a sort of safe zone in that sense. But to see first hand flood and pass it is like a great thing for us because we have now proof of concept. Because most people are very concerned, oh, what about water? It will melt, etc.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
So, is it, if possible, could you please give a comparative cost difference? How much is saved in terms of money due to the use of on-site materials in your project?
it's not always true that money is saved. I'll be very honest. I think the question when it comes to money is a little tricky one because a lot of people are automatically thinking that, oh, I'm building with mud, I'm building with bamboo, it has to be cheaper, but that's not true. For example, if I build with mud, it takes a little more. Now the thing is, when I build with cement and brick, because it's so standardized and so quick, the masons who are now working only in this are super fast, and the material allows you to be a little faster if you push it to its limits. When it comes to earth, you need to really give it some care, okay, and you need to treat it with love. I talk about these homes being living beings, so you need to respect it in that sense. And in some cases, the time taken to build is a little longer, so the labor component can be a little higher. All right, and now so it's not a huge differential. It can be. There are some projects that are definitely cheaper than the standard RCC or way of building, but actually it's cheapest to build in those methods in the conventional, because everything is so cheap. I mean, okay, I told you that
Subsidized.
subsidized, exactly. The cost of I mean, just think about this. Cement is made from lime, okay. Lime is the basis of cement. But if I go to the market to buy a bag of cement and a bag of lime, I'm paying 3 times more for lime. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the challenges that we face. So but we
Yeah.
try. I mean, we try and design in a way that we have a sort of comparative where it's almost the same as in a conventional building. I would say there's always plus minus, but we try and give the setting saying that it's going to cost the same. Not to, I mean, if you save money, fantastic, everyone's happy, you know. But a
Hmm.
lot of it also depends on the finishes, on the kind of, and the thing is, a lot of people who want this, they want that certain comfort. They want the beds to be, you know, high end. They want their bathrooms to be super high end. All these homestays, all these resorts, the most important thing that you and me would go and see when we go there is the bed and the bathroom. Is it clean? Is it neat? And if it's not clean and neat, then and hygienic, then you're not going to want to, you know, live there. So sometimes a lot of effort is spent in to make sure that it's at a certain level, and it's required. And it's nice.
Hmm. Okay. I hope Arunav Sinha, I hope he's answered your questions. If you have more, please feel free. Divya Bhamra is asking, how does the boulder in the Manali project retains or conducts heat for maintaining temperature inside during night, especially?
By the way, these are all my students, I think, asking questions. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah. So can you repeat the question?
maybe your fan following, Areen.
I, can you repeat the
I
question?
wouldn't be surprised. Uh, how does how does the boulder in the Manali project retain or conduct heat for maintaining temperature inside during night, especially?
Interesting. I think it's something that I am still trying to figure out properly, because it's interesting when you touch the stone or when you touch the boulder, it's quite cold. Okay, it's not warm to touch. It doesn't feel warm, but I think because of the um, thermal mass that is there, all right, the heat gets trapped inside. At least that's what we hope is happening. The heat gets trapped inside, and then it's not easy for it to go outside. Okay, so that's the primary idea. In terms of technicalities, right, this is what
Hmm.
I would say is happening. And the boulder itself, I actually have not tested that, what sort of impact it has in terms of the temperature difference, and maybe next time I go there, I will check that.
Any excuse to go back.
Oh man, I was supposed to be there in May.
Hmm. Okay. Do you use concrete for the foundations or other earth-friendly materials?
It depends. We try and avoid the use of direct concrete. So a lot of our foundations are the wall material itself. If not, if it's stone. If not, then we use stone in the foundation. But we use stone with a little bit of cement mortar. In one of our projects recently, though, we used, so imagine like 75% of the foundation is also stone and mud mortar, and only like 25% is stone and cement. So we really, really try to reduce. And as we are growing as architects, as people, and as designers, we're trying to get more and more confident about certain things. And as knowledge increases, so maybe we try and push ourselves even further in the long run to reduce the use of cement and concrete. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Someone says, very interesting. Using of natural material on site keeps nature in place. Great going. Thumbs up. Yeah.
Was that you who said that?
No, it's not me. Someone has said it. Someone is asking, which natural materials have scope of standardization and subsidies while preserving the authenticity of the environment?
Yeah, nice. I think, I mean, it's a catch-22 situation, right? I would, in one way, I don't want any of this to be standardized, because I think it's so unique and so special to each place that standardization is almost going to bring in the same mess that we had with cement and
Dilute.
concrete. Exactly.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but it's also so necessary, because it needs to become a mass movement. So I would say
Hmm.
these compressed stabilized earth bricks are a fantastic scope of using it, especially in urban areas as well. They can replace bricks. They're a little heavy, so that's the problem, because they have mass. But I think as a concept, they're really good. The compressed stabilized earth blocks. I think we try and do a lot of like plasters, alternate plasters, so lime plaster, mud plasters. That can be maybe and there are companies now who are doing lime plaster as a service. So their entire setup is based on lime plaster. So I think these are things that can get standardized more and more. Bamboo in the form of construction is they're trying to create some codes of construction. So like follow these norms, etc. So there's some effort to create some standards.
Hmm. Okay, and someone saying, "Keep up the good work, Areen."
Is it
The
my parents?
savings,
Because they must be
I don't
listening.
know.
They could be listening.
Maybe they could be. No, they're saying the savings are not always tangible, and it's the intangibles that matter eventually.
Thank you. I shall use
Yeah,
this sentence
yeah.
in future when people ask me.
Divya Bambra says, "Thank you, sir. Good to see you."
I told you students.
Okay, someone's asking, is there a height restriction for structures built with natural building materials?
Not really. The challenges with height come into question when you have to deal with the width. So, for example, in Yemen and Iran, there are 7-floor buildings with mud walls. Okay, load-bearing mud walls. But the width of the
Okay.
ground floor of these walls are like massive, right? So, and you know how it is. For example, we are in this city mentality, which is like, oh my god, you're going to take 2 more inches of my space is going to get like over. So it's not easy to make it high, and always it's not always like practical. Let's be like honest. So then if I have to go high, I think of a system where I can use maybe steel, which is also a recyclable material, or I think of a system where I can use maybe use a little bit of concrete if I have to use, and then go high. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I think at that time you need a little pragmatism to deal with that. Also, I'd question, why do you want to go high? I mean, the big question for me is like, what do you need to go high for? Is it just for the sake of going high, or you know, what's the reason?
Hmm. Okay. Then how do you deal with transferring materials up the hill?
Great question. It's tricky in let's take example of Manali. There was actually no road access to the site. Then they sort of rented one space from the neighbor to get it in, but then we had to get labor to transfer it from one place to the other, um, who would basically carry it in sacks and things like this. In Nepal, when I went to volunteer for the first time, they have a system. So it's a really interesting system. They have this conical cane basket. Okay, and you may have seen it. All the tea pickers of Assam, everyone, they have this conical cane basket, and then they have a strap. They take the strap and they put the strap here. All right, and then they wear that basket like a bag, but the load is on your forehead, and they carry insane amount of load on that, and then they walk down or they walk up where they need to. So imagine a truck would come with some material, dump it, and then you'd be, one person is with a shovel, the other person, okay, where's this, and then that person
Hmm.
keeps loading that conical basket, and then you carry it, and then you walk down or walk up to where you need to walk to reach the site, and then you sort of empty it over there. Okay? So we did this in Nepal when we went to volunteer. And so we did it, and I can't tell you how like strong your neck needs to be to do this. And we did this, and I promise you, like there was like sand, okay, sand and stone, small stones that we needed to transfer down. And I think I managed to maximum carry like little over half that basket of sand, and maybe just half of stone, because stone is even heavier. And the ladies in of the local ladies, when they did it, they would take like heaped up on the basket and coolly, and you like we were dying, and you have to navigate the landscape. Okay, it's
Hmm.
really, yeah. And then
Did
some,
y'all successfully do it, or did y'all give up halfway?
no, we did lots of rounds of it, yeah, but still the
Okay.
mountain was bigger at the source than destination.
I can actually imagine you struggling. But okay. Lots of questions. Wait. What's the scope of these homes in existing sites and even in in existing cities and even in upcoming cities which are adjoining major cities? That was a question I also had.
Okay, I think scope in cities like Bombay is less because I think the interventions that we have done in Bombay are little like minor ones. Like so Crawford Market is an example. We do some natural plasters. That's an example. We've done some like security cabins with bamboo and eco bricks is one. Smaller interventions, but possible. There are a lot of small interventions. But if you want to do like really big, I would say upcoming cities is a good idea, but cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, they already have a lot of like, Bangalore in particular has a lot of people who have done, alternate buildings as their primary building. So because they still have a system of houses, right? So you can actually live in this house, and even Delhi, I guess, has this chance. Bombay, because of just sheer density, it's like if you have a piece of land, then everyone wants to just build heights so that it makes financial sense to them. So I think other cities have a lot more scope than Bombay.
Okay. Uh, how vulnerable is rammed earth when
Rammed,
exposed to ram? Sorry,
yeah. But
rammed
sometimes we
earth,
say rammed earth because ram,
rammed.
it's good to
Okay,
take Bhagwan ka naam.
when exposed to heavy rains.
Oh, it's not a problem at all. So rammed earth is basically a technology where we're trying to imitate nature's creation of sandstone. Okay, so sandstone is created by layers and layers of dust settling down and compressing over centuries, and we're trying to mimic that within like hours. Okay, so when it gets compact, it's like almost stone, so it gets really, really strong. And if you use like 5% of cement with it or something, then it's like tight and compact. In say Maharashtra, the rains are heavy, so you would see a little bit of surface say effect if the rains hit it directly. If the rains hit it from top, it's a problem because then it's penetrating through the top. So these are the things that we take care of. The top is always covered, and then we try and occasionally have an overhang to prevent the rain from hitting the walls directly. But in a lot of cases, our overhangs are not even required to be done so much, because rammed earth itself will take care of that. And then there are small design details you can do, like erosion lines and erosion bands, to sort of make sure that it's a little more technical. So I won't get into details of that.
Okay. Uh, how can one give justice to these earth and sustainable materials during this time when a time where we use concrete as a major building material?
Can you repeat the question? I'm not sure I understood it actually.
How can one give justice to these earth and sustainable materials during this time where we use concrete as a major building material?
I think justice is to be given in I don't know. So I think I'm still searching for this answer. I mean, I'm not even sure I understand the question thoroughly in the sense.
Yeah, I would like to say, as in, like how he had said earlier, you have to be practical also. Like you have to, as someone who's an architect, you have to make sure that you are providing safety first for people, and also we have to make sure that we find the middle ground. And when it comes to anything, you can't go off everything to be completely sustainable, because right now you need to realize we are all living in a toxic society, a toxic system itself.
Yeah, true.
So just as we keep building, innovating, finding out new ways, new materials, our vision is to basically get completely sustainable. But till that process, in that process, we have to definitely make sure that everything is balanced right now. Would you agree, Areen?
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, I totally agree. I think like that balance is key actually, and you have to
Yeah.
try and make these small, penetrations to try and
Yeah.
same time
And
maintain and
yeah.
uh,
Abdullah Atari says, "Hey son, we are very proud of you and your work."
I told you they were listening.
Yes, even I am very proud of his work. Okay. I'm gonna take only two more questions. Oh my God, sorry. How this organic materials can help in mega cities and metropolis, where verticality helps in accommodation of large population, or is this style of architecture only suitable for rural areas?
No, I think it's not only suitable for rural areas. This question is a little more deep because I feel that our concept of cities is flawed. Okay, I have a it's we have to look at development as a whole and question that concept. And this idea of going up means we have no space, so we have to go up. No, we have no spaces because we've chosen to live in this way where we are stuffed together, and it's not a healthy way of living. And we are seeing the consequences right now. Mumbai is as the density issues is what's leading to so many of these COVID cases spreading. So I think you need to question that itself as initially, and then come down to like, okay, how appropriate would this be in a place like that?
Hmm. Okay. Do you incorporate water treatment and recycling as well?
So it depends. A lot of these places, the rainwater harvesting that we do is actually just recharging the groundwater, because
Hmm.
we've never tried to collect it and store it. We see abundant rains, but we are the more architecture we're trying to do, the more we're trying to create holistic sustainable environments. So we have,
Hmm.
solar powered, or we have, say, systems to deal with the waste, systems to deal with the water, and we want to build
Yeah.
holistic
Hmm.
solutions.
Okay.
Uh.
So, one second, Ashik. I have one more question. Since there are so many people listening, this is a question from me. Um, there are a lot more questions. I think we'll have to do one more session with you, Areen. I apologize for the inconvenience, but I am going to push for it because I believe this is a way that we need to go. But one question from me to you is, since there are lots of kids watching this, and since what would be your message for kids who are opting for being architects, or like what would you like to say to them?
um, Honestly, for me, it's just like follow your passion and your heart. And I was given some advice by one architect a while back. He said three things. He said, do whatever you do with passion. um, don't do it for the money, and the third was have a little bit of common sense. And I think if you have this sensitivity and this care within you, then you're bound to create a difference, whether indirectly or directly, through the kind of work you do. So I think a little bit of sensitivity is required, and just follow that.
Okay, thank you so much, Areen.
My
Yeah,
pleasure.
I
Can I
yes,
also
we
get a
will.
list of all the questions if there are pending questions, just so I know what people are?
No.
No.
Yes, definitely we will send it. Inspiring, proud of fight, a young practice to carry. Okay, I will send this over to you so you can feel happy when you read it. Yeah. And for everyone who's watching, guys, we will definitely have a session like a Areen Atari 2.0, since that is in trend now. 2.0, whether he likes it or not, I shall bring him back.
Cool.
Okay, thank you so much, Areen.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, guys, for having me here.
Bye.
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 I'd love it now, by the way, so have me.
Sure.